Okay, this is number 43 from homework 1.4. Okay, let's take a look here. Number 43 says f of x is equal to x cubed minus x. Okay, that's pretty good. What do they want us to do with it? Well, if you see the instructions, it says find all values such that f of x is equal to 0. So the thing about this is if f of x equals 0, okay, and f of x equals x cubed minus x, then x cubed minus x has to equal 0. So they're just asking you to set this equation equal to 0. Since f of x is equal to x cubed minus x, f of x is equal to 0, then we just simply say x cubed minus x is equal to 0. Now there's a couple ways you can solve this. The first thing you want to notice is that they have like terms, okay? So in terms of having an x, they both have an x. This one is a power of 3. This one's a power of 1. They don't really write that, okay? And of course, we should know to factor out an x, and we're left with x squared minus 1 is equal to 0. Now, if you notice, we now have a product, okay? So we have something times something. In this case, then we can set both of these guys equal to 0. X is equal to 0, and we write or x squared minus 1 is equal to 0. This one's already solved, so that's good. We'll just write them again down here. Don't have to. Or we can just solve this. Now, there's a couple ways you can factor that because it's a difference of squares. But if you didn't recognize that, you could just write x squared is equal to 1, and then x is equal to plus or minus 1. So in the end, x is equal to 0 or plus or minus 1. And there's actually 3 guys there because there's a plus or minus 1. Now here's a little extra, okay? So if I had x squared minus 1 is equal to 0, we should notice that that's a difference of squares. In other words, I could write this as x squared minus 1 squared is equal to 0. And from algebra, we know that a squared minus b squared is equal to a minus b and a plus b. So we could use that fact here, and we could write x squared minus 1 squared is equal to x minus 1 and x plus 1. So since we can change x squared minus 1 squared into x minus 1, x plus 1, when they ask me to solve the equation x minus 1 is equal to 0, I can write that as x minus 1 times x plus 1 is equal to 0. And from there, since I have a product again, we have this guy times this guy, I can use the zero product property and set each of these equal to 0. But you notice we get the same answer. X is equal to 1 or x is equal to negative 1. Of course, the original problem, we had an x out here, so we would have an x down here, and then we'd also have an x is equal to 0 or x is equal to x minus 1, and we would still get the same answers. Okay, I hope this helps. Let me know.